Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name's Mariah. I help people relocate to and buy houses here in the beautiful state of Oregon. I get calls, texts, and emails from people like you that are watching these YouTube videos and are thinking about moving to or buying real estate in Salem and anywhere in the surrounding areas all the time. If that's you, don't hesitate to reach out. I would absolutely love to help you as well. Let's get a Zoom call on the schedule. But today's video, I'm really excited about because I am going to be busting 5 first-time home buyer myths that I hear often as somebody who works with many buyers, many of them first-time buyers in Oregon. These are myths that if you're considering buying a house this year or in next year or anytime in the future, you are for sure gonna wanna know. And the last one, I'm curious to hear your opinion on. Be sure to stay tuned until the end. You're not gonna wanna miss anything today. The first Oregon home buyer myth is you need 20% down to buy a house. This couldn't be further from the truth. We have worked with so many home buyers over the years who have put 3% down, 5%. Like there's options. You don't need 20% down to buy a house. Another thing that's really unique about Oregon. So I'll just share an example. One of my clients that I'm helping relocate to Oregon right now is coming from a state where in his state, there's just not a lot of rural properties, and I'll explain why that matters in just a second. There's not a lot of rural properties. He really wants to be able to be a homeowner, but the only loan that he's able to get qualified for right now is something called a USDA loan. That means that you can buy a house putting $0 down, 100% financing. The catch, if you qualify for this loan, is that you can't buy in inside of city limits. It has to be in a more rural area. It has to be in a USDA eligible area. In this state that my buyer is moving from, there's just not a lot of USDA eligible towns nearby where he's at and wants to be. So because of that, he's moving to Oregon because we have plenty of USDA eligible towns. So that means that if you're wanting to buy a house with $0 down in Oregon, a lot of our clients are relocating to Salem, Portland, anywhere in those surrounding towns, like in between the two. And no, you cannot use a USDA loan in Salem city limits. However, there are many towns on the outskirts, some even 10, 15-minute drive away from Salem, that you're able to use a USDA loan in and put $0 down. So that's the first myth, first-time buyer myth in Oregon, is that you need 20% down to buy a house. No, you don't need 20% down to buy a house. The second myth is that it is cheaper to rent than it is to buy here in Oregon unless the housing market is just perfect. Now, obviously, home prices have gone up a lot. Interest rates are higher. I do not see them going down anytime soon. I don't know that they'll ever be how low they were a couple years ago, like record low, which makes for a very, very interesting housing market that we're in right now. In Salem specifically, I know of a house that's currently for rent right now. It is a 3-bedroom built in 1968 home, great neighborhood though, great area. It is renting out for $3,800 a month. So yes, mortgage payments are high, but I do think that's a myth because while mortgage payments are very high right now, rent in Oregon is also very high. The next home buying in Oregon myth is that all lenders are built the same. This could not be further from the truth. Who you use as your lender is a really big deal. If you want a suggestion on someone to use as a lender who's local to the area, let me know. I'm happy to send you information to someone who we use ourselves personally and very, very highly trust, because while you can use whoever you want as a lender when you're a buyer, who you use can really make or break the transaction. And a big tip for people relocating to Oregon is don't use a lender who's out of state. Say you're in California and you're relocating to Oregon, don't use your California lender to buy the house in Oregon. While your lender may be able to do a loan here in Oregon, it's not always in your best interest to use a lender that's not local to our area. I've had situations where I send in an offer for a buyer and the listing agent as well as the seller are just very hesitant to accept our offer because they see on the offer that the lender is not even from our area, and to them, sometimes it's a little bit of a red flag. So I think it's always in your best interest to use a local lender right here in Oregon. Next Oregon home buying myth is that you need a perfect credit score in order to buy. That is not true. We've had many buyers who we've chatted with. They wanted to be homeowners. They just didn't see how it would be possible for them because they didn't have perfect credit. Things just weren't lining up perfectly. We talked to them, we sent them to a lender, and after talking to a lender, they're pleasantly surprised that they're actually able to buy even though they thought they couldn't. It never hurts. Take that first step, reach out to us, and we'll have that consultation. We'll just have a call with you, get your questions answered, walk you through the process, get your questions answered about the area if you're moving here, and set you up with a solid lender. And it just never hurts to do that sooner rather than later. The next myth is that it is a bad idea to house shop during fall or winter months and that all real estate is seasonal. Maybe this is true in some states where you get lots of snow in the winter and have extreme storms, extreme weather. That's really not the case, at least in the Salem, Oregon and Portland, Oregon and all the surrounding areas. We really don't get extreme, like super extreme weather here. And so we really don't see a drastic change. Yes, there's a little bit more activity in the summer, but it's definitely not anything drastic. People are still buying and people are still selling all year round. I've bought and sold myself all year round, winter, fall. It's never been an issue. So that is another myth that I think needs to be busted about the Oregon housing market. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. If you grab value from this video, hit the thumbs up button. Be sure to head over to my channel. I have a handful of playlists you might grab value from, and I'll see you next time.